So everyone, I'm just here in the speaking part 6, dealing with a difficult situation section of the CELPIP library. And before I start, I want to let you know that there is this video here, and that video is a tips and strategies video, which directly explains to you different tips and strategies that you can use for reading the question, for analyzing the question, for responding, okay? And I will leave a link in the description box for that video. So now let's get started with today's analysis, and we're going to be analyzing a sample from volume 9 called Work Theft, okay? And you will see here that there's some grammar practice and vocabulary practice. Now, that is recommended more for levels 4 to 6. But I think the vocabulary practice will be really good practice even for 7s to 9s. Using privileged, what does it mean? Blessing in disguise. Something good with no expectations. Synonyms, antonyms. Stumble into, stab in the back. I'm going to use that phrase today. What does it mean? How do we use it? Having this vocabulary exercise or doing this one will really help you develop your vocabulary. So I recommend it as well for 7s to 9s. Very good practice. Put in the right word. And I can see here colleagues. So you put that one in and you submit. You can check your score. You should get 70. I think 7 to 9s, you should aim to get 100%, not 70%. 70% is recommended for 4 to 6s, but 7 to 9s, you should get 100% in that vocabulary exercise. So I will leave a link at the end of the video or in the description box for the question itself, okay? So you can practice it. Here's today's question, all right? So I'm just going to transfer this question over to my board here, okay? And let's read it. You know that one of your coworkers who is going to retire in a few months has been stealing from the company. So the coworker, he's going to be retiring, but he's been stealing. Wow. Maybe because he's going to retire, I don't know. You have seen him putting office supplies and computer parts in his bag on several occasions, and you have told some other coworkers about it. Okay? So you saw him taking some supplies and computer parts. Okay, so he's stealing. And you've told the coworkers about it. Your coworker Sam thinks that you should not bother reporting the theft. So Sam thinks don't worry about it. Don't bother with it. Since the man's about to retire, another coworker, Aaron, thinks that you need to report the theft to your boss as soon as possible. Okay, Aaron, she thinks we should report it. Okay, so reading the question, it shouldn't be difficult for level 9s, for sure not. Okay? Should be clear. And we should even write a few ideas of what we think. Now, 7s, even 7 to 8s, they might have a little problem understanding clearly, but let's hope not. But we should try to read in parts like I did and understand each part. And that way you can get a better idea. We do have 1 minute to prepare. Okay, so what do we want to do? Talk to Sam, explain when you want to report the theft. That's option 1. Talk to Sam. Or option 2, talk to Aaron and explain why you don't want to report the theft. Okay, well, this one sounds like a difficult question. It's a difficult problem. Of course, there's no right or wrong answer, but maybe you should go with what you're more familiar with. Maybe you've had this experience before and you had to deal with it. Then that would be beneficial. But you do have to choose one and you have to explain it. You can't be stuck between the two in this question. It's kind of like telling you how would you deal with it. You only have one option. Okay? So, um, again, there's no right or wrong answer. We just need to make sure that the one you choose, you explain it. So then, let's start by introducing the question. Let's be organized. Nines for sure, we need organization, but even sevens to eights and everyone, starting off the question directly is always the best to do. If I had to deal with this difficult situation, I think I would speak to Aaron and explain why I wouldn't want to report the theft. Okay, now I will say again that it's better for higher levels. It's better for higher levels to start indirectly. Indirectly, not directly. And I am building a 7 to 9. It says 5 to 6 here, but this is 7 to 9, okay? So then we've introduced the question directly, okay? And we're going to speak to Aaron. And we need to explain. We need to say why are the reasons that we don't want to report it. So let's get to the first idea here. First of all, I'd say that although I'm aware of our coworker's theft, I've been working with him for over 10 years, and I've always known him to be an honest person. Okay, so very good. So the first thing is I've known him for 10 years. I've been working with him for 10 years. I've always known him to be honest. So why do I need to turn it in? Basically, sounds, yeah, if you know a person really well and they've never stolen anything. So why now should we go to the boss and report it? It sounds like almost like you don't know the person. And we should explain a little bit like that. So I'd feel like I was backstabbing him if I suddenly turned him in. Okay? Okay. So you can see here that backstabbing means that you know someone well and then you do something bad to them. Okay? We don't usually do bad things to people we know, our friends, for a long time. And if we do that, that's called backstabbing. Okay? So good expression. Good expression. And turn him in. Turn him in. Report him. Okay? So, again, very good starts. Okay? Using, in terms of language, very good. Present perfect, continuous, present perfect. Those are higher level structures. We should know that. For 9 or higher, for sure, 7, 8s, we need to work on that to improve it. Okay? But level 9s, we should always know that we can always express situations in present perfect form. Okay? So now, we started with that. We've known him for a while. So what's our second point here? Secondly, I'd say that since he has always been a trustworthy person, okay, so we're going back to the fact that he's trustworthy, he's honest, he's never stolen anything. So, because of that reason, I think there has to be an understandable ulterior motive. An ulterior motive. Ulterior motive, that's a good word again. Some other reason why this is happening. What is the ulterior motive? What could it be? Like, for example, we can use like in, for example, for speaking because we are speaking and it's more common. Like, he's concerned about his retirement or a financial emergency. Very good. Again, also very good. So we know he's a trustworthy person. So there has to be some kind of other reason, other reason, an understandable other reason why he's stealing. Okay. I feel like we still need to explain that we should speak to him. Mhm. Right. For this reason, as a gesture of goodwill, we should speak to him honestly and directly. After all, we've gotten along great through all these years. Okay, very good explanation here. As a gesture of goodwill. Good expression as well. As a gesture of goodwill means because we are good people ourselves. We are good people. We think he's a good person. We want to understand him better. So, as a gesture of goodwill, because we are good people. So, let's speak to him honestly and directly. After all, we've gone on because we have gotten along, okay? So, very good reason here. Another good example. We think there's another reason why he's stealing, okay? And because we know him to be honest, because we are good people too, then let's speak to him directly. Okay, very good. Very good reason here. Now, I feel already this answer is very strong for 7 to 8. Already very strong. Okay? But just to practice, I'm going to give you another form that you could, or just another reason. It's always good to have more reasons. Of course, it's harder to do. I'm just giving you here some options for level 9s or higher. We need to explain strongly, very clearly. So then, let's see our third reason here. Last but not least, I stress that. So I'd stress, I'd emphasize, okay, that our coworker has been working at the company for nearly 30 years, right? He's going to retire and he's been working here for 30 years. Okay? Again, we need to imagine that situation because he is going to retire. And sometimes when people retire, the last job that they work at for a long time. So that's what we're saying 30 years here. So, so what? So, confronting him with this accusation would not be a suitable farewell. Okay. So it's not a good thing to say goodbye to him, to farewell. You've been stealing. Now you're fired. That's not a suitable farewell. And instead, we should try to sympathize with him. So we should try to understand, sympathize with him, and understand what has led him to this behavior. So sympathize with him. Let's talk with him. Let's try to understand and let's try to make it better. Okay. So again, 3 strong ideas here. I feel like this answer is strong. Again, for level 7s to 8s, let's not feel like we need to give 3 strong ideas. Okay? And I would even say for level 9s, the ideas don't need to be as strong as these ones here. We've used some really strong explanation here. Okay? But we do need to use give 3 ideas with some good explanation and language. Okay? I do find that the strong language here is present perfect continuous, modalities. Okay, we've used that present perfect and present perfect continuous all the way to the end. And also modalities. We should try to sympathize with him. Would not be suitable. Should speak. Okay? And of course, in terms of actual vocabulary, we do have some good words in here. Farewell, confronting him, accusation. ulterior motive, and we do have our expressions in here. Expressions, like I said before, they're very strong as a gesture of goodwill, as a good way of dealing with it. It means also backstabbing. Backstabbing, it's like an expression, okay? So those are some good words we've used in here, okay? Of course, it's about the totality of the answer, okay? It's about saying everything in 1 minute with good flow and clarity. So let me do that right now for you. And everyone, let's make sure that we focus on the flow, the connection, the intonation. Okay, here I go. If I had to deal with this difficult situation, I think I would speak to Aaron and explain why I wouldn't want to report the theft. First of all, I'd say that although I'm aware of our coworker's theft, I've been working with him for over 10 years and have always known him to be an honest person, so I'd feel like I was backstabbing him if I suddenly turn him in. Secondly, I'd say that since he has always been a trustworthy person, I think there has to be an understandable ulterior motive, like he's concerned about his retirement or financial emergency. For this reason, as a gesture of goodwill, we should speak to him honestly and directly. After all, we've gotten along great through all these years. Last but not least, I stress that our coworker has been working at the company for nearly 30 years, so confronting him with this accusation would not be a suitable farewell, and instead we should try to sympathize with him and understand what has led him to this behavior. Well, everyone, I do think that that was tight. Let's say it was very, very tight with time. And I hope it was clear, but I don't think that we need to be speaking so fluently like that. Of course, this is only an example, everyone. Only an example of how we can develop answers and how we can explain. The best thing that I could say is that we need to start and we need to finish on time. So I did start and I did finish on time. I did feel there that I was rushing a little bit in the end. And of course, we do need to rush. And when you have that clock right there, or that timer, or in the real exam where you have that timer, um, it does feel more pressured. And it will always feel a little bit rushed, okay? But with good practice, let's remember, with more practice, you should be able to speak and read this in 1 minute to develop your fluency. Okay? It would be really good to develop it. And also, we should really be looking at the structure, the connection, and how we're explaining here. And as well with the language practice, okay? Using present perfect, continuous, and modalities. Very good. And also, let's try to use some of these expressions, okay? It will help us in our speaking. Okay, everyone. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description box to the CELPIP library, okay? And in the CELPIP library, there's lots of good practice, lots of different questions. There's over 60 questions and examples and practice that you can do, okay? So if you want to sign up to the CELPIP library, very good right now, okay, with a special promo code. With this promo code here, you can subscribe to the CELPIP library for only $10.99 Canadian with the discount code, okay, everybody? Discount code CELPIP79, okay? And you can get a 3-month subscription, and of course, that's for all of the listening, reading, writing, and speaking, okay? Not only the speaking part. It's for every section, for listening, reading, writing, speaking, and that will really help you improve, everyone. Let's remember, practice makes perfect.